I've spent this week overwhelmingly on one topic, Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. And I know at times it feels tedious, but I've said probably 25 times in my 30-year career about my shows, radio or TV, is that you, the consumer, you, the listener, you drive the bus. So I'm able to, because I'm on cable television, to see every minute of my ratings every day. You can't do that on broadcast TV, but you can do it on cable. And I monitor it. And I monitor it for one reason. You tell me what you're bored with. You tell me what you're interested with. I think the height of arrogance as a broadcaster is pretending I know every day what's most interesting. So I follow you. And and this has happened to me multiple times over my career, that I've loved a topic, just thought it was absolutely wonderful and fascinating. And the next day I see my numbers and you didn't give a shit. And so I move off the topic. There are things that interest me far more than interest you. And conversely, there are times I've touched on topics and I'm really shocked by how much you care. So then it's my job to make calls, take better notes, figure out why you like it, and talk about it. So in the Aaron Rodgers situation to the Jets, it's the combination of multiple things. The most popular sport in the country, the NFL, the most crucial position, quarterback, one gigantic, iconic brand, the Green Bay Packers, and the most polarizing quarterback in the most popular sport, Aaron Rodgers. So this week I can watch my downloads, I can watch my cable ratings, they've all been really, really good. I listened to most of the comments, the clips from Aaron Rodgers on the YouTube Pat McAfee deal. And, that's a friendly place for him to go every week. And I have no problem with that. I used to defend Arsenio Hall all the time when people would bang on Arsenio Hall and they said, well, people go on there. He asked Puff fluffy questions. And my takeaway is it's called the Arsenio Hall show. He can do whatever he wants. It's his show. Some people have said, well, it's a comfortable place for Aaron to go. And my takeaway is it's Pat's show. He's a punter. He's not a journalist. He can do anything he wants with it. I can do anything I want with my show. But I'm not a former professional athlete. I don't have a relationship with Aaron. So I'll defend any broadcaster. This is not the New York Times. I'm in the opinion space. I've said before, I liked Aaron Rodgers more than Brett Favre. I think he's smarter. I think he's more thoughtful. He's a unique guy. Probably wouldn't be my kind of guy I'd hang out with, but that's okay. There's a lot of great athletes. Tom Brady doesn't have a beer during the season. I probably wouldn't hang out with him either. I'm drinking one right now. A herd draft picks, by the way, Pilsner. But I do think the most shocking revelation to me is that Aaron Rodgers, after the retreat, said 90% going in he was going to retire, and then he came out and was surprised the Packers moved off him. It's just remarkable to me that a guy that's that smart would lack any self-awareness. And I'll double down on this. When you're the center of your universe and you ghost people, Aaron has a history of ghosting people who say anything critical of him. You surround yourself with yes men. And nobody called him out on his shit. My wife calls me out on mine. My kids do. I got friends that do. I have bosses that would. And so the Packers have never had an owner, right? They don't have an owner who calls them out in his stuff. If Green Bay had an owner, Aaron Rodgers would not take 8 or 9 weeks to make up his mind. If Jerry Jones or Stan Kroenke would call him up and say, pal, make a decision or we're moving on. So it looks like that's an advantage not having an owner, but I think it's a disadvantage. It's a disadvantage for Favre, who kept threatening retirement. It's a disadvantage for Aaron, who kept threatening retirement, and neither guy had anybody that would demand they give him an answer. And then Aaron's not married. He didn't have anybody to call him on his crap like our wives do, right? And so I really do think, I call it the Green Bay quarterback syndrome. No owner, smallest city, you basically own the franchise. And I think ownership at its best is non-meddling, is highly supportive, but will hold coaches, star players accountable. That's Robert Kraft. He said, no, we're not going to trade Tom Brady. We're moving off Jimmy Garoppolo. It was the right move. Brady still had Super Bowls with New England and Tampa left in the tank, and Garoppolo's a B quarterback. Some would say a C quarterback. Got to a Super Bowl, maybe a C+. So I think the lack of ownership has really hurt Green Bay. The other thing is they've been overly frugal. An owner can sometimes step in and say, go get that free agent. Make it work. They don't have that. So in the end, sometimes in life, things you see as an advantage can be a real disadvantage. And it may feel like for Favre or Aaron Rodgers, it's such an advantage not having that hovering, meddling, powerful billionaire. But I think in both cases, Favre and Rodgers kind of took advantage of it, had leverage, manipulated, used it, and in the end, the franchise booted both. I do think Jordan Love can play a little bit. I do think Jordan Love can play. I don't think he's going to be great. If he was going to be great, if he was Mahomes or Burrow, they would have already moved off Aaron, not given him an extension. Didn't take very long, one training camp, a month in September to figure out Mahomes was really good. Let's move off Alex Smith, who was a Pro Bowler and making the playoffs when they moved off him. I also don't think he's Zach Wilson or E.J. Manuel, where you know instantly it doesn't work. He's somewhere in between. My takeaway is if you look at who the Packers play next year and the quarterbacks they play on average in the NFC, they won 8 games this year with Aaron. I think they're about an 8 to 9 win team next year with Jordan Love. Barring some injury, I do think they're going to get this deal done. I think they're going to get either a first-round pick or a really good player from the New York Jets, but I don't see them capsizing at all. I do, however, find it absolutely remarkable that Aaron Rodgers was surprised when he came out of the darkness retreat, his words, not mine, and the Green Bay Packers had decided to move on. Wow. You could be pissed. That's different. You could be upset. Okay. You can't be surprised. For the second, third year in a row, talking retirement, you can't be surprised. You're not allowed to be surprised as an adult with a functioning brain. You're not allowed to be surprised. So Michael Jordan is reportedly selling his shares in the Charlotte Hornets. You know, it's really interesting about Michael Jordan. So he tried baseball. He failed. He tried ownership. He was awful. He tried the Wizards. It bombed. Everybody understand that take out Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson, this whole Michael Jordan mythology is sort of just that. He's arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. But he's done a lot of stuff. Never the golfer he claimed, failed at baseball, bad NBA personnel guy, not a very strong owner. Hornets have been mediocre and uninteresting forever. He was a great, great basketball player. And I always thought where LeBron is clearly superior to Michael Jordan is LeBron, his game is his personality. He's a giver. He's a very giving guy. He likes on the floor to elevate players. I never thought Michael necessarily elevated all his teammates. He took shots away from Quentin Daly, Orlando Woolridge, Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc. Michael took shots away from others. LeBron, think about LeBron's career. Who hasn't played their best basketball with LeBron James? He elevated everybody. I mean, J.R. Smith worked late in his career with LeBron James. It was Kyrie's best basketball. Shane Battier, his most important shots. Everybody works with LeBron, from his schools to his style, to his game, to his businesses. He got multiple partners. Michael was always a bit of a selfish player. He's a bit of a selfish guy. And he's not great at building community. He's great at building wealth for Michael Jordan. That's fine. It's not a criticism. It's a reality of who Michael is. I don't think he made everybody else better. He failed with multiple coaches. He failed without Pippen. He failed in baseball. He failed in Washington. He failed as a GM and an owner in Charlotte. What he was a great basketball player, very self-centric. He was remarkable. He deserves to be the first or second best basketball player of all time. The 3 best I've ever seen that weren't centers, MJ, LeBron, and Magic Johnson. And they're a notch above even the Tim Duncans and Larry Birds, not counting centers. Their games match their personalities. Michael's a scorer, scoring, net worth, piling it higher, more, me, scoring. Magic, LeBron, distributors who can score. elevating others, assisting others. It's not a surprise. Michael's always had a small group of friends, very loyal to that small group of friends, but he doesn't have the ability or the interest to be more of a LeBron, to help others beyond his circle. That's not really what Michael is. He only recently started some very noteworthy giving, some public giving to either a political process or a charity. I'm not saying he hadn't done it for years privately, and that's not a criticism of Michael. Again, it's just his reality. But if you look at Magic Johnson and LeBron James, their games are very similar because their personalities are very similar. They have a large community of friends and allies, and they're givers at their core. And it's made Magic one of the richest athletes of all time and LeBron one of the richest athletes of all time. But it's also enriched others, where Michael's often just been about Michael and a small, tight group of friends and allies.